All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another edition of the Friday Masterclass. We are
Let's
live.
go.
I'm adding one more little live option here. I'm trying to go live on Instagram today as well. So
Really, that'll be
uh,
fun.
we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So
Oh,
here we
so
are.
it's going. It's going is what you're telling me. Sweet.
We're on, bro. We're on. We're on stage. How you doing today, my friend?
Man, I am abundantly blessed and challenged. I know
All
that
right.
that's my for all you Dave Ramsey people out there. It's better than I deserve. Love Dave Ramsey, absolute big pivotal part of my life
Yeah.
during that season, and so I used to say that a lot. And honestly, uh, I would talk and I would say that with older folks, and by older I just mean old enough to be my parents or grandparents, and they'd be like, "Oh, baby, like don't say that. Jesus loves you." And I'm like, "Oh, I mean, I know. I'm just saying I'm better than I deserve, you know." And they get like, preachy with me and get angry that I didn't like feel like I deserved whatever. And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. Dave Ramsey said it, so
So I
through some
picked
of
up
what,
on it. I say, hey, Dave's
yeah,
got
yeah.
millions
So
of
so
dollars. He says it. I'm gonna say it.
so now a shout out to Dr. Alok Trivedi, one of our I guess you'll call him a mentor of ours in the mental and business space.
Awesome.
Learning that everything's equal. I just say I'm abundantly blessed and challenged because God is the ultimate equilibrium. He is the ultimate balance, and so you
And
can't have blessings without challenges, and challenges normally bring blessings. So abundantly blessed and challenged. There we go. That's me.
Well, I'm with you on that, and I will adopt that and agree with it. Abundantly blessed and challenged. You know, my first child, my little girl Evelyn, turned 5 this week, and that was more emotional than I realized. I didn't really attach a whole lot of emotion to the expectation of that event, and it was pretty special. So just that's why we do this, right? Like for our family, laying a foundation and hopefully leaving a legacy for them, not just financially but also making them great humans. So that's a big part of why I do what I do. I know it's a big part of why you do what you do, and we've connected with a lot of folks over the years to serve as mutual clients based on serving families and helping them see the positivity of building wealth through real estate, having a place that's safe and sound to have, a great family, and then also expanding beyond that. So anyway, very, very grateful today for
Yes.
life.
Good.
So should we start with the elephant in the room?
What, the coffee thing?
Oh yeah. Let's start there because I got my, look at this. Have you guys seen these? Look at that steam coming off that cup of coffee.
Oh my goodness. Is that
This
like
is
a
an
battery
electronic.
operated?
Look at this. It's battery operated, keeps my coffee warm, makes me so happy.
Well, folks, that's what that Scottie is definitely one of those people that's going to keep up with the times and the technology. On the other hand, I want nothing to do with it. I don't even like the fact that my face, fingerprints, socials in the system. But I told Scottie this morning. I said, he's like, "Hey, how are you doing? You ready for this?" And I said, "I'm a little bit hyped. I don't normally drink coffee. I've been on a little bit of a coffee binge." For those that I served with, especially on my first ship, how me and caffeine do. If they were here, they'd probably tell some stories. When all male ship in the middle of nowhere, a lot of frustration.
We gotta have one of your brothers on one of these. I want to hear some stories, man. That's a whole nother fun thing.
Yeah, but we used to be on No Dose and Monster and black coffee, and so anyway, I've kind of gotten back into it. So here's my little 2 cents for you coffee junkies.
Okay.
A lot of us don't get enough of our protein. I know that even as much as I try, it's just really, really hard. But I was on orders one time, and when you're in the NGIS, the Navy Gateway Inn and Suites, it's pretty much Roach Motel Navy style, and they have a little Keurig, and they give you 2 teas and whatever. And so I was just dragging one day, and I didn't know what to do, and I was like, I just normally just take my protein, and so I made a little coffee, put it in my protein cup, and I put a scoop and a half of Optimum Nutrition. I'm not endorsing them in any way, shape, or form. They're just the cheapest, best stuff that's out here. And put a scoop and a half in there, straight black coffee. I don't like to drink coffee from foo-foo places because the sugar on my teeth and my mouth, and
Yeah.
it's just gross.
It's gross,
Hey,
man. It's
scoop and
nasty.
a half
I
of
agree with that.
vanilla protein, and you're good to go. You're good to go, and that'll be it. So there's my little plug today. Get your
All right.
protein, get your coffee,
Get your
and move
protein
on.
and your coffee. So I actually, I will second that. I started putting protein in my coffee a while ago. So what I do is I put it in the shaker. I put a
Yes.
little bit of PB2,
There you go.
my coffee, ice, gets it all kind of doing what it's supposed to do. And then just some high quality protein powder, which my wife continues to challenge my protein powder choices in life. So she's always there to make me better, as your wife probably is too. So anyway, got to get your coffee in, got to get your black gold in. I'm a little bit of a coffee nerd. So why do I have the Ember cup? Well, I do like technology and I do embrace it. Though I'm a weirdo, I could live off grid totally. I would actually like that. I love having coffee at the perfect temperature. So this keeps my coffee at the perfect and correct temperature. Anyway, let's move on. We got other things to talk about. The elephant I was referring to was, in fact, interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big topic right now. If you've been on social at all, you'll see a lot of opinions. If you've been on any news outlets this week, you'll see a lot of misinformation. You see, the reality is the news media is not the place to get information about financial news because they're always playing catch up. So what the news media missed is over the past 6 weeks, mortgage rates actually bottomed out. All right. Mortgage rates bottomed out a week ago at the lowest they've been in since like probably early 21, we'll say. Okay. Just to kind of throw a number on it, over 2 years. And then the Federal Reserve came out on Wednesday after their meeting, their policy meeting, and they said they're lowering the Fed funds rate by 50 basis points or 0.5%. And a lot of people are like, yay, mortgage rates went down 50 bips. No, mortgage rates went up.
Yeah.
Actually, and the reason for this is all that stuff is priced into the markets, right? So I'm just going to share this with you guys real quick. I want to show my screen and just kind of share what I look at as a mortgage advisor. You know, I have been in this space for about 20 years. And mortgage rates follow something called the MBS bond market, very similar to like the 10-year treasury, for example, right? So mortgage rates are trading all day, every day like stocks. And I just want to share something with you guys to clear up some misinformation. So here we go, coming out of August 30th. By the way, red means bad, green means good. Okay. Red means bad, green means good. And so we're looking at basically back to June 21st through today. And you'll see rates have been really volatile. Lots of movements. We've had some days with great upside and then days with downside and up and down and up and down. So coming into September, in anticipation of a rate cut, we've seen rates improve the entire month of September. We had a couple of little drops, more improvement. And then September 17th, the day before the Fed announced the cut, we had a drop. And then September 18th, this is the day the Fed announced the cut.
There it is. Yeah.
We dropped about 20 basis points, okay, in the market. Then yesterday, look, we recovered. And today we're starting to recover more. So the bottom line in all of this is you have to seek out the right information to make the right decisions. And ultimately, mortgage rates coming down is great. It means a lot for our economy. It means homes are going to become more affordable. We are finally in a downward cycle when it comes to mortgage rates. But it's not connected directly to the Fed. In fact, Jerome Powell came out on Wednesday, and one of the questions that a journalist asked him is, how's this going to affect mortgage rates? And he specifically said, mortgage rates and the Fed funds rate are not connected. The Fed funds rate is the cost of money that banks lend to each other overnight. Very, very short term. Very, very short term. It does also drive prime rate. Credit cards are attached to this. HELOCs are attached to this. So, you know, I tell my my client database, you know, if you got a HELOC, when the Fed says rates are cutting, that should be good for you. And, you know, people who unfortunately are stuck carrying credit card balances, which neither you or I endorse or believe in. But, you know, there's folks that are out there doing it. When you see a Fed rate cut, call the credit card servicer. Call them and say, hey, the Fed just cut rates. What can you do for me? I'm a loyal client. I pay on time and I'm paying you a lot of interest. What can you do for me? Those are phone calls worth making. And then when it comes to mortgage rates, get an independent mortgage advisor's opinion. Get somebody to have a 10, 15 minute, 30-minute conversation with you and really walk you through what does it look like, because ultimately it's about affordability. We're doing a lot of refinances right now because people bought in the 8s and the high 7s, and they can now qualify for something in the 6s, whatever. But it's really about cost versus benefit. And one thing that I go over with any client when we look at a refinance is, what's the total cost divided by the monthly savings? Total cost divided by monthly savings. How long is it going to cost you to recoup your money? Because there's always costs with a mortgage transaction. If any lender tells you it's no cost, they're lying to you.
Yep.
Because they're not going to cover the cost of the title. They may charge you nothing, but they may also hide that in the rate, because nobody works for free. So what we do is, somebody who's bought with us in the last few years, I've promised we'll do something called rate assurance. We're going to do a very low cost refinance. Still going to pay my team. We still got to have some revenue, but we show them the cost benefit analysis. Just locked a family in on a refi yesterday, and now here's what I'm very excited about, Andrew.
You locked somebody in on a refi yesterday?
I did, yeah.
Listen to that, public. Somebody just refied. Holy smokes.
Coming
Why
down
would anybody refi in such a horrible market? Oh my gosh. Because today's better than yesterday.
So for compliance, I gotta say, like, there's no guarantee or commitment on rate. 7.375 to a 6.875. And a lot of people are like, well, that's not even that big a drop. Yeah, I know. But it's saving them $252 a month, and we're giving them 20 grand in cash, and we're right sizing their escrow account.
There you go.
They've got a lot of things that's working for them. Okay, cash out refis are alive and well. If you're thinking about getting cash out equity, stop doing the HELOC thing, guys. Look at the reality of what that's going to cost. A HELOC's a big credit card. It has its place. It has its purpose. But a HELOC is a big credit card attached to your house. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
And you're going to be paying interest only for 10 years or whatever. And I don't care what that rate's at. Most people who take out HELOCs are like, oh, why did I do that? Unless there's a reason. So what we use HELOCs for are bridge loans, right? You and I helped a client earlier this year. They took money out of their equity in their current home. You listed the home. You sold the home. They paid off the HELOC when they bought the new home. We used it as bridge. That makes sense. A HELOC that you're just going to hold for years and years does not make sense. So anyway, kind of jumping off my soapbox now, but the bottom line is, when it comes to rates, get the right info, talk to somebody about what it really means, find out what's really going on. Don't just, look at CNN or Fox Business or whoever is your preferred news source.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but I'll be very transparent about it. I've been day trading for the past almost a year now. Just always wanted to do it as a kid. I never thought I was smart enough. Obviously military, so never got into it. I've been doing that. And the one thing that I've learned using this system, another plug, the safetytradesystem.com.
Okay.
This guy just pretty much killed all the algorithm, because the stock market is a joke. It's not real news. The FOMC, I wasn't able to play it, but our community killed it. They absolutely killed it, because we knew what it was going to do. And so all that being said, what I'm trying to say with that is, we talk about getting your news from a right source. Really, the only people that are the ones that can give you good news is the ones that aren't the media. I've been telling clients for a long time, hey, listen, mortgage rates have been coming down, but because there hasn't been any big announcement for it, nobody's saying anything about it. Yeah. People aren't going to be out there looking to go and get a home, or to get into, a mortgage, because they think that, oh no, the rates are high. And, but with that, for some of I'm what we call an engineman in the United States Navy, and so I work on engines, and when one piston goes down, the other one goes up, and one goes down, the other one goes up. That's just how that goes. And so rates went up and prices have come down. Sellers are willing to make moves, and you are still sitting on the sideline saying the world's coming to an end,
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was telling somebody that, I actually showed one of our clients' listings. And I said, I've never heard a client say, I wish I wouldn't have bought this property. Actually, I'm going to go back. I did have one client who I rightfully and respectfully fired because they were disrespectful. And so, yes, I do hold myself in high regard. I just stopped. I just told them, hey, have a nice day. No ifs, ands, or buts. But that's the only person I've ever seen that was mad that they bought the property. And honestly, they were just the person that was going to be mad no matter what God did for them.
Yeah, those are the type of people we can't fix.
Well, bad on me for thinking that I can help and serve everybody. I'm learning that, I do have hero syndrome. I want to help everybody, and not everybody can be helped, especially those that don't want the help. But all that being said, I've never really heard from good people that have their head on right, that said, oh, I wish I wouldn't have bought this place. You know what they say? I wish I would have bought more. I wish I would have bought sooner. I mean, we sell farm and ranch and land and all that. And I always say, tell me a little bit about the property and how you acquired it. And they said, well, we bought it back then. And what's crazy is there was another 100 acres next to us. But man, we were like, it's so expensive. It was, $1,800 an acre. Now land, and now the land's going for $8,000 or $15,000 an acre or whatever it is for that area. And they're like, I wish. And so time is moving, things are going up. It's the natural inflation cycle. I watch the stock market. Everything's rallying. Everything's at the peak of where it's ever been. Gold just hit an all-time high. They were talking about the world was coming to an end when the NAS and the SPX went down. Listen, we were watching it. We saw it was just going down, so we can go up. Okay,
isn't that interesting?
And so I want you guys to hear what I'm saying. It's only going down so we can go up. Okay, and if you're sitting on the sidelines, which I've done in my trading career, there's times where I'm like, well, I know where it's gonna go, but I get scared, right? So I understand the emotion and the mental side of it. But when you know where it's going, why are you worried about where it's been and where it's at?
That's true.
It's like giving up on your teenager because they're a teenager throwing a fit. We don't do that. I don't give up on mine. Mine threw a fit yesterday, and I looked her in the eye and I said, I know who you are and I know where you're going. So quit your whining and get back to work. And she turned around, she shook her head, she kind of nodded yes, and she's back at it. And so the economy is the same way. I don't know, folks. I think it's been frustrating. It's been frustrating with buyers. I'm talking to buyers all day, every day, and I keep saying the same thing. Don't sit on the sidelines. Again, sellers are rolling out red carpets. And like you said, when we talked after FOMC on Wednesday, I said, hey, what happened? And you said rates went up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And a lot of people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, because that's the way financial markets work, and again, will they continue to go down? Probably yes, but should that preclude you from moving forward? Well, you got to get the right information to make the right decisions.
Yes.
And you have to look at facts and data. And this is what I tell everybody, whether you're looking at buying a home, refinancing, whatever, facts and data, the right information to make the right decisions. Look at cost versus benefit. Look at the cost of renting. Look at how much you've thrown away over the last year, 2, 3 years versus, what could be in your future, because these properties, they are appreciating and the market's not bottoming out. Okay, so properties are taking a little bit longer to sell right now. Everybody knows that if you're paying attention to the housing market. And that is because things have been locked up. We have the lock-in effect of many people that are stuck with 2 and 3% interest rates and they don't want to sell or whatever. But people are still selling homes. Now, sellers were used to selling a home in 3 days. Now it's taken 3 months. Okay, that's kind of normal, actually. So it's a little bit more of a balanced market. Buyers have more.
Here's the thing. It's taking 3 months for the perfect property that is priced perfectly in the perfect neighborhood.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the crazy part. It's not that, it's just taking 3 months. It's taking 3 months for a $250,000 to $300,000 home in an area that's not being beat out by other cookie cut homes. That is perfect. Right. So I think buyers are still hoping, and I get it. I do it, every day early in the morning. I get up before everybody else is up. That's when I like to trade, 4:30 in the morning to 7 a.m. Before everything gets crazy. And there's times where I'm like, I should get in this. Get in this. Oh, there it goes. Oh, but it's going to come back down, right? I don't want to buy it if it's going to come back down. Oh, it's a mental cycle that's got to be broken, and understanding, again, where it's going to go, right? If it's taking 3 months for the perfect house at the perfect price point and also at a lower price point. So let's just be honest. If you're 750 plus, 600 plus, 600,000 plus on the market, you're probably taking anywhere from 9 to 12. I just closed the property a month and a half, 2 months ago, it took us 6 days shy of a year. Client actually said, oh, we were like a couple of days past. And I was like, we actually weren't, because we went on, I think just after my birthday. It was the 14th. I remember saying, okay, yeah, got to remember to get it ready, on my birthday, get the listing ready and all that. And we sold the week before my birthday. So we're just shy of a year. And honestly, we didn't really move price, Scotty. We started at $8.99, awesome. And we almost got the entire thing. And so, to my clients that are out there, again, we've been saying it while we're on here. I'm going to lose listings over it. I know that, but I'm telling my sellers, if you drop price, you're really just dropping to drop.
Yeah,
you're not going to move.
So you're really just dropping your price because you want activity and you have concern, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, I can't. Am I right? There are some properties that probably could use, a price change. Those clients know who they are. I've told them, hey, I don't know if I can get you this price, but for the most part, when people start pumping and driving, then let's do that. At this point, I believe we're in a real estate holding pattern until buyers decide to really, lack of a better word, grow some, use their brain and understand that sellers right now are still willing to come off price, give concessions, and make things happen. But you're not getting out there, and it's a little bit frustrating.
But by the way, let me ask you a question, because there's this whole NAR settlement thing that happened and whatever. Is that stopping business? Is that changing things, or what's going on with that?
No, I think if anything, most sellers, you said it in the beginning, right? You talked about, hey, we can't work for free. We're going to make sure we get some money. We still got to make revenue, cover costs, and all those different things. Okay. So, whatever NAR lawyers hear this, you can give me a call and shoot me. I don't care. I really don't care what you think. You give opinions and base that so you can make your money. And that's the only reason why you say what you say. I'm not a lawyer. And if I was, I'd probably tear you guys up. But all that being said,
I love it, dude. I love your approach. Go.
But the reality is that the market and people always find loopholes. People do not just lose. It's like when the government says, we're going to charge these companies more money and more taxes to give it to the people. Thanks. You just passed me the bill. That's what you just did. You just gave it to me now. So you meddled in something that you shouldn't have meddled in. And now I'm forced to pick up the bill. So now what's happening is I'm telling sellers, listen, if you say you don't want to pay a buyer's agent, that's fine. I'm not negotiating my commissions. My commissions still are what they are. If you want to pay them, that's fine. If you don't want to pay them, that's up to you. But I'm telling them the buyer is going to come and find a way to get that money back, And so I think it's a little bit interesting when people say, that client of mine that was, really upset at the world and was mad that he actually bought the property and we don't work together anymore. He was all excited about it. He says, oh, it's about time, you dang realtors. And I was like, okay, nothing's really going to change. What's going to change? You think that, and the thing is I kind of realize now, the reality is, I think if the perfect deal probably, dropped and hit him in the foot, he'd probably be mad if they said, hey, we'll do this, but we don't want to pay commissions to our client. Like we want that in selling concessions, right? He would have said, no, you pay them. And then they would have said, fine, we're dropping the price. This is how people work, right? I mean, we're all about getting the best deal, about getting the most for ourselves and all those different things. And I mean that as sellers and buyers, right? Agents, we're just in the middle, someone even told me the other day, oh, I'm sure that, this deal would sound better for you for commissions. I said, you're talking about a $200 difference. This is about my clients. This is about the sellers. It's a huge difference for them. Shoot, I'll give up the $200 if that's what you think. Like, we want to make a deal happen. But if you're trying to cut the corner, then they're going to cut the corner somewhere else. Again, abundantly blessed and challenged. It all equals out in the end. If you go and bash somebody's face in on one occasion, you're going to go somewhere else, and then you're going to get that right back, because that's just how God created the universe. When I say the universe, I want people to think I'm a Scientology nerd. I'm not, but God created the universe, and that's how it works. I mean, it's equal in electricity and in magnetism, all these different things. And I'm watching the same thing happen in the economy, in politics. Can't have the right without the left. You can't have the crazies without the conservatives. It all meshes together. It makes us who we are. And so with that, as buyers are sitting on the sidelines or trying to get stingy and stubborn. Well, guess what? Sellers are also doing that. Now, if there was more uptick and a little bit more and people were getting out there, sellers might say, hey, you know what? I'm seeing that I'm getting some traction. I'm seeing that, things are picking up a little bit. Maybe we should make something happen. But right now, nothing's happening. I know that sounds almost like a complete opposite. It'd be like, well, why wouldn't, if I was the one showing to show up, why wouldn't a seller work with me? And it's because that buyer is coming in and thinking, well, I know I'm the only showing that you've had, so I want everything in the world. But it doesn't make mathematical sense, right?
No.
And I think that's the part that people don't understand is real estate is an emotional game. But I have a saying, I don't remember where I got it from. I've said it millions of times. We do the math, to take all the emotion out of it. There's always a mathematical equation to take all the emotion out of it. And if you decide to not do the math, then you're just really being not very smart, would be a nice way. And if you do the math and you're ignoring it, then you're being ignorant. But if you do the math and you ignore it because, you're saying, I know that I want to do this, then at least you're making an emotional decision. Right now, everybody's all emotions, all up and down, riding this emotional roller coaster, listening to the media, while meanwhile things are just doing this and people are missing the train. And unfortunately, and like I've said, I've got clients that are like, hey, Andrew, as soon as this thing turns around, I want to take my price up. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
this market, people are already prepping and saying, I'm going to want to take my price up.
Yeah, because they really see that there's which is kind of rare, right? Like that's not a thing you would often do as a strategic approach, right? Like tell me, is that done?
Here's the thing. Our market's never seen or done this, right? I think it's this crazy place where, buyers and everybody feels we're really in this down market. Rates, as much as they're not amazing, what were our parents and grandparents paying, right? And again, I think it goes back to
a lot more than we've been. That's for freaking sure.
Geez Louise, right? You just show. Go back to that chart, right? Because I want people to understand something. When you see that green and red,
the same chart with the MBS. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Do that. There we go. Glad I didn't kill that one.
Did you kill it?
No, I didn't. It's here.
Okay, right. So for those people that don't understand reading charts, when you go down to right there in July, right? So that was July. What day was that? At the very bottom, that bottom candle.
Right here. That was actually July 1st. Yep.
Okay, so July 1st, that was the worst that rates had been. And this is what, a 3 month? This is the last quarter?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the last quarter. July would have been the worst time to buy. What are we looking at today? Okay, yeah, there you go. Back to
if we go back, like just for fun, let's look at a year real quick.
Thank you.
This is going back to October of 2023. And I'll be honest with you, I did a lot of business fourth quarter 23, like a lot. And then, you can see like the people who bought in October, right? What if they would have bought November 1st? What if they would have bought November 14th? What if they would have bought December 13th? Well, guess what? We're refinancing those people and helping them save money, but they can't renegotiate what they paid for the home. And they probably got a pretty dang good deal, to be fair. So if you're like timing the market, yeah, to your point, okay, here's May. Here's, let's go back to the 3 month real quick. So back to, July 1st. In the last 90 days, the worst time to buy a house was arguably the beginning of July.
Yeah, just so for everybody here, because we normally, we think of up is good and all that. The lower that those candles are, that what we call price action candles, the lower that those are, the worse it was for the American buyer. Correct. The higher that is, the better. And so what we're saying is in the last year, when you go to that year chart, there has not been a better time rate-wise than today to purchase a property.
Yeah, and this is a little tough for folks to understand who don't know how to read charts. That's why I typically don't go too deep into it. But the bottom line is, every time you see some of these like lines here, these are coupon rollovers. This is like the packages of mortgages, because every mortgage is sold twice. A lot of people don't know this. Every mortgage is sold twice. They are sold first to you, the consumer, second on what's called the secondary market to an investor and servicer. So, rarely do you take out a loan and it gets serviced by the same company for the life of your loan. some private bank loans, anyway, whatever, not to get too deep into it. Let's look at 2 years just for fun.
Wow.
October 20th, 2022. October 20th, 2022 was the worst rates we had seen in, I think, 10 years at that point, if I remember correctly. And then we look at October 2023. So we actually got worse, right? And again, we've been doing business throughout this whole thing. Why do I look at this? Why do we care? Well, first of all, past performance of the market is not indicative of future results, whether you're doing stocks, bonds, or indifferent. We know that the Fed has moved us into, hopefully a market that reduces interest rates, but that's going to create other challenges. They're not necessarily trying to stimulate the economy like they were coming into the COVID couple of years, right? So, the Fed believes that inflation is more under control than it's been in a while. That doesn't mean the price of milk and gas is necessarily coming down, folks. That just means that the Fed's saying it's curbed and it's not going up. We are probably not seeing that F-250 going to drop 25 grand in price. That's not happening. Home values. Can you negotiate off of a real estate transaction? Yeah, you can. There's sellers that'll do that, but it's not like we're seeing some kind of massive dip where we're going to be seeing massively declining markets, right? So especially here in Central Texas, market's pretty strong. And it would take much, much longer turn times of inventory for us to see any kind of a crash or anything like that. It's not coming. There's too much demand. So there's millions of people, literally millions of people who've been waiting to buy a home, and they've been kind of on the fence. And if you're one of those people, congratulations, now's your time. I promise you it is, because next spring, you're going to be in a multi-offer scenario on every house you want. That's going to happen. So if you buy in this quarter,
it's an election year and everybody's on pause. It's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see where we're going to be at. We took on a lot of inventory over the last 6 months that didn't turn over. A lot of those sellers, and I get it, right? Sellers say, hey, you couldn't get the job done. We got to go somewhere else, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to fight you on it because, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not. Hey, I want to work with people that think that, I'm the one that's for them and all that stuff. But the reality is if you're a buyer, you're going to get to that point next spring. And for sellers, I know to say, hey, it's, September 20th, and we may, have to be on market for another 6 months. But to tell you, that's just the way it is right now. And depending on how this diplomatic situation, political situation with our campaigning and our presidency works out, again, I'm going to go back to what I believe. If one side wins, inflation is going to somewhat still go up because rates will come down, people will get out. There will be a huge idea of, the world's going to be better and the economy is going to turn around. So everybody's going to get back out there and buy. And then things are, it's going to be harder for you as a buyer. And if the other side wins, not so much for our economy, things are not going to turn around well. Rates will probably not come down. They will probably go up. And now you're even in a worse spot than before. And inflation still. So I really honestly believe that either way, inflation is going to keep rising because that's just where we're at. Companies are making money that they've never made before, charging more. The everyday farmer, everyday, artisan who's making they're not the ones that are making the money. I don't hear wages going up for the factory workers. So factories are still making buku bucks by raising their prices and saying they're blaming it on their materials.
The small businesses are definitely in an interesting place. We work with a lot of small business owners helping buy houses. It's a squeeze. I'll just put it that way. You want to jump into talking some property, talking about local market? What do you want to hit next?
Yeah, we'll talk about let's talk about this property. Want to let everybody know what's new, and then
give me 1 second here too.
We've still got all the great, amazing properties that we showed everybody. We've got 50 acres, a beautiful pond out in North Waco area. Literally, you're right off the freeway, but you don't hear it. We've got our Airbnb that's still for sale, that's ready to go. We've got that beautiful property in Marlin. We haven't put the property up in Hubbard yet. Looking to probably put that on market this upcoming week. So if you're looking for a large acreage property or even a large home Airbnb, we've kind of got everything across the board. Wonderful home out there in McGregor. So if, regardless of your price point, if you're looking for something, you're looking for a team that's ready to go and get you into something, Scottie's going to make it happen. And I'm going to tell you the truth about everything and help you, with the transparency. So what Scottie's got up right now is 1301 Gurley, wonderful Airbnb. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. It honestly make great student housing or something for a, single person, possibly, maybe an empty nester is kind of what I, thought. I could see my aunt who has no more kids, or, if my grandmother was still around. Look at that, showing where it's so close to everything. So that property.
It's a great property, man. I was kind of checking this out earlier today and thinking, wow, that's.
They just put in a Velvet Taco, Ahmad Pizza. Both of those, a Loft Hotel is probably less than 2 years old. It's right there next to Baylor. The area is turning over, and she is willing to sell it furnished. Obviously, I'm not going to speak as to whether asking price and the furnishings come all just as one. Obviously those things are negotiable. So don't want to sit here and, you can get it for that price. Hey, maybe, right? Maybe. But the reality is it's all been completely redone. And so, it's a good looking spot and it's been well done. So let's talk about numbers.
Sorry, I was flopping around making sure my numbers were there. Yeah, this is, I just want to highlight a couple things about this before we jump into numbers. So first and foremost, this particular property in the city limits with space, like to me, that's a really big deal. You got a big lot, a lot of fun to be had out there. And you said it's an active Airbnb. Did I hear that right?
Well, yeah. So it's on Airbnb and VRBO from what I'm pretty sure.
Now
we just call them STRs, right? So short-term rental,
right? Short-term rental,
which is hard to get and do in Waco because they kind of stop them. So we would definitely want to get that switched over. I don't tell anybody that anything's grandfathered with the city of Waco. They changed their mind like they changed their draws. So,
so that's something that it's an active property. It does have a permit.
It does right now. Yes, it does.
That permit may transfer or may be able to be moved over, correct?
Yes.
We just don't know for sure how long it takes and all that stuff.
Yes.
So the way that we would probably suggest financing something like this is using our investor cash flow loan, otherwise known as a DSCR. Now, there's other options, of course, but this is like, if you have a pulse and a credit score and the numbers make sense, this is a loan you can get. So this is the one I start with. You can do it with 20% down, get a little better terms with 25% down. This is assuming an 800 credit score, folks, with these with the rates we're going to show today. So, if you got a score in the 6s, you can still qualify. Your rate would be a little higher. So we can talk about that. But DSCR 20% down. We actually have been doing these through a local Texas bank out of Dallas that is just absolutely fantastic. Now I'm showing you a 30-year fixed rate here because most people want 30-year fixed. But we actually have a 5-year and a 7-year arm that's even better priced. And we can discuss the benefits and drawbacks of that off the offline. If you were to buy it for list price of $299.9, let's just assume a 7.25 rate. Again, no guarantee on rate, just assuming that's the rate because that is what I ran this morning. Cash to close about $73,000. We're probably a little high on this. We always like to over pad so that we can set the right expectation. And then we're looking at a monthly payment about $21.25, including taxes and insurance, based on the numbers I pulled. Andrew, what is it currently bringing in rent roll cash flow?
Yeah, so we're working on getting all of that together because we want to make sure that we're good based on what, utilities and all those different things. But she did tell me that she's currently covering. She bought it about 2 years ago for almost close to the same price that she's selling it. And she's, so as we know, we just checked those numbers. She's paying up probably a higher percentage than what anybody today would pay. And so actually we might be able to see what that monthly rate is. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have those numbers.
That's okay. So
Yeah.
Point being here, let's talk about our favorite strategy in our market right now, the seller buy down. We love this. We talk about this every time we talk because it just makes so much sense. Now, obviously, you're representing the seller, so I don't want to overcommit your seller to anything. What I want to do is just simply pitch this from a neutral, perspective on what happens if a buyer comes and says, "Okay, I want to buy this property. I want to get a deal on the property." What do you think? Somebody might try to hit you at a $25,000 drop on price. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, something like that. Let me back to the numbers real quick. I just want to throw this out there. So I went on to VRBO. So just so you guys know, going to VRBO, you put in Waco. It's almost the second one from the top. It's called Lindley's Little Gem. $85 a night is what she's got it listed at. She's got 110 reviews at a 9.4 rating. Okay.
Really?
So, yes. So you just look at 110 reviews, even if that was over 2 years at $85 a night, which I guarantee you on Baylor weekends and everything, it's a heck of a lot more. Friday night, Saturday night, stuff like that. Do the math. 110 times 85, just at 100, what are you looking at,
Right.
So
that makes quite a bit of difference. Let me jump in here real quick. I just had to restructure something on that number. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's say you want a price reduction of 25K. Okay, this is second column here. You say I want to make an offer at 274.9, which your seller's probably not super likely to jump on.
Probably not.
She knows what she's got. So keeping rate the same, cash to close goes down a little bit. Payment goes down $141. So somebody looking at cash flow on this property, that's going to be important to them. However, negotiating with the seller using the rate reduction approach, which if you're buying this as an investment property, you can, let me throw this in here real quick. One more little change. If you're buying this as an investment property on a conventional loan, okay, you're actually limited to 2% in contribution from the seller. But if you're buying it using a DSCR loan, typically we can get you more from the seller. So that's a cool thing. And I'm using, in this case, a rate reduction of 0.75 to 6.5% just as a model. This is saving you $120 a month, keeping the purchase price the same. It's costing the seller 3%. So in example, 2 there, column 2, you're asking the seller to give up 25 grand, and you're probably asking the seller to pay your buyer agent commission. So you're saying, hey, I want you to pay my agent commission. I want you to give 25. That's pretty unlikely. Third column, rate reduction. That's costing the seller under 9 grand. And it's giving the buyer $120 a month drop.
It's huge.
So, when we kind of look at that, all things told, the cost to the seller, I don't know why that didn't calculate right, but the cost of the seller is significantly less, and you have a much better chance of achieving this. Price versus rate. In order to achieve this same savings, you would have to have the seller drop their purchase price down to $277,872.
Telling you that's not happening. Again, I know what she's purchased it at. She's, at that place right there, she's losing.
Yeah, that's 22 grand. So yeah, and so again, just looking at this particular property, making that work, your mortgage payment, including your taxes and insurance, being around $2 grand a month. If you're going to turn this into an STR, you're going to do really well with that location, especially in central Waco. So just to kind of tie that together for this property, I think if we thought of, okay, let's say you got every weekend full at $250 a night, that's $750 a weekend. You're making $3 grand or so gross. And then on top of that, you probably have them paying their cleaning fee. Yeah, you're going to cash flow on this property.
Oh,
this is a cash flowing short-term rental that's available for a great deal. So, here's the thing. I talk to a lot of people who want to be investors. Like they say, I want to be a real estate investor. I'm not right now, but I want to be an investor. Okay. Do you want to do long-term hold? Do you want to do short-term rental? I don't really know. What's the benefits and the drawback? So the cool thing here is this thing's already set up to rock and roll that way. Now, if you did want to turn it into student housing and put a long-term tenant in there, 6 months at a time, you could charge a premium versus, more long-term lease, like 12 months or whatever. So there's a lot of opportunity on this.
Well, I'm going to say something that I really like about it because of the way that it's situated on that corner. If it was me, I would get it to work with the city, see if I could resurvey it and add another unit. It's got a very large backyard that, unless unless a family's moving in or somebody with a dog or something like that, or, it's kind of unused. And so that's the way I kind of look at it. When I went to go see it, I was like, there's a lot of yard. It'd be nice to cut this up and add another unit.
Yes.
And now you've got, and honestly, it could probably fit 2 of those same sizes right on there.
And what do we call that? That's an accessory dwelling unit, right? An ADU.
Yep. Yeah, and you might be able to do it without having to resurvey it. You just add it to the piece,
So when it comes to, doing that, practically speaking, would you say somebody should build on the property, bring in like a pre-manufactured home? Like what would you do if this was you trying to do that?
If this was me, I would essentially just go to the city, make sure that I'm within that zoning. They're going to be perfectly fine, probably bringing in, put anything for more housing, right? I would place 2 studio-like properties where they're really just open, and then go to Waco Housing Authority and get the most I could, because they're pushing Waco Housing Authority right now, also known as Section 8. They can't keep up. They can't get their people into homes right now because the rental rates are through the roof. So they are paying a heck of a lot more for their people than not. And then you've got the government cracking down on your tenants, keeping them accountable.
So in that regard, you're kind of protected, right? And it's and you're in a protected market because it's a little bit more difficult to get. The competition is tougher, right? Like for somebody to come in and compete with you, that's a little bit tougher. And I think there's a really good benefit to this. It's a great property.
Yeah, I think it. I'm always about diversity and what can you do. How many more different things can you do? It's what I like about our Airbnb, right? Because we added that ADU onto it. You could live in one and rent out the other small piece, the ADU, or you could live in the ADU and rent out the main house. You could live in the ADU and have the Airbnb at the main one. You could live in one and let your parents stay. That's what intrigued me about taking on that project, and just waiting for somebody to be able to see that. So you look at this Airbnb and you're like, okay, on a corner lot, small, home, completely redone. It's going to cash flow while I figure out what to do on the rest of this piece and just start figuring out other things. I think the creativity and inspiration that people decide to not pull together and try and figure some things out. People, if you want to make money, if you want to build legacy, God gave us an amazing imagination. If we're made in his image and he is the creator, then we can create.
Yes.
Carla and I talk about it all the time. And I firmly believe that it is her and our job as kingdom builders to create and to make money so that we can help take care of other people, make sure that we keep, our gardener, which I don't have a gardener right now. I like cutting my own grass, but, eventually I'm going to get back to the point where I'm probably not going to want to cut it. And so, to listen, people, when you take on these things and you create more than just what you see in front of you. Now you're creating a space for your cleaner to make money. You're creating a space for the landscaper to come in and keep it clean. You're creating an experience and a good place for somebody to lay their head at night. So it's a lot more than just, I have a place that makes a couple bucks a night or whatever it may be. That's my 2 cents in that piece. But it's a great opportunity. So
I love being able to contribute to my local economy, and that's something that is important to me when I think about how I advise people around, doing business like this. I always encourage them, like, don't do too much yourself. Don't give yourself another job. Find your who that brings the right how, so that you can actually set up freedom. Because a lot of people talk about the idea of time freedom and finance freedom and all that stuff. And then they start doing real estate and they're like, well, I can save money here if I do X. And I'm just like, no. Set it up. Even on a property like this, if you make $200 a month, you're putting yourself in a better position and you're building equity. So one of the things that I always talk to people about in their working years is don't worry about the monthly cash flow nearly as much as you are concerned with the equity you're building in the property.
Thank you.
In areas that have appreciation. And Waco, Texas has great appreciation historically, great appreciation. And that's a place that, I want to put my money. There's all these different approaches to how, to your how, so to speak. One of the things that I like to help folks look at is, I'm going to pull this thing up called a property report card real quick, just to kind of like look at the, what's the word I'm looking for? The local market around this particular property. So just give me a second while I do this. But I like the idea of researching appreciation and figuring out like what actually makes sense from the perspective of, okay, if I'm going to buy this home for say $299,900, I'm going to buy it as an investment property. What's going to happen? And I like to look at both historical and forecasted appreciation. Let's see, let me add you in here before I take this live. I like to look at both historical and forecasted. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I like to figure out, okay, what's going to be the kind of the linchpin in my investment. Can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Sorry. Let me see if I can get this set up here for us. So let's look at this quick report. Okay. This is like an appreciation report. And what we're kind of looking at here is the estimated home value. Let's say it appraises at $299,900. Okay. And we're going to look at the average appreciation. We're going to start with 10 years. So the average annual forecasted appreciation is 2.45%. I feel like that's low. The average annual historical appreciation at 3.14. Again, I still feel like that's low, but I like to sandbag, right? I think it's fair to sandbag. So 10 years from now, that home has appreciated by, conservatively, at least $82,000. Probably over six figures in reality. Think about the ROI on this. If you do 20 down and your closing costs are say around 12.5, 116% ROI in 10 years, 161% ROI in 10 years if this number is correct. So when people start talking to me about cash flow, I'm like, I get it. But look at these numbers.
So this is one of the things that really gets me is, let's see here. Okay. So again, I love the math. And a lot of people say, well, it's Andrew, it's only making me $200 a month, and I've got to put the money up front and I got to pay the closing costs. Okay. I understand that. I get it. But your down payment is going to come back to you when you sell it. Right. So that's one thing. Okay. So, the way that we do that is, you put $72,000 in, you make $200 a month. I hate this this calculator on the iPad. Okay, that's $2,400 a month. Okay, you're making about 3.4% on your money a year. Okay, on that 74, but that's on the cash flow. That's not on the appreciation, right? And so I think when people start saying, what are you going to make if you put your stuff in a 401k? I tell people it's just the choice that you want to do. It's not a right or wrong decision to put it into real estate or to put it into, a 401k. I'm not saying either. What I am saying is that they're very similar, except the appreciation difference is a lot more beneficial and becomes a lot higher in terms of what you're actually getting in the end.
Well, let's also talk
American
about
real estate's going to go down.
Let's talk about one other challenge. Okay, this is 5 years, by the way. Okay. somewhere between 50, around 50 grand in appreciation. Let's go out. Let's just look at 15. And I don't know about you. I'd like to make $177,000 in 15 years just by owning something. I think that's pretty cool. Real estate makes millionaires, guys. That's just what it does. And think you got 5 of these things. Think about what happens. All right, but back to the 401k. I'm a huge proponent of people putting money away. I believe in it. I think it's awesome. All that's great. But one of the challenges that I see folks kind of deal with is we're programmed to do things a certain way, especially, if we're working a W-2 job and the company offers a 3% match and all that good stuff. Did you know that you can take a loan at probably 0 to 3% interest from your 401k, take that money and buy real estate? And did you also then know? Did you also then know that when you sell this property, let's be 5 years. When you sell this property in 5 years and you make, let's say you make 50 grand or whatever, plus your investment back, you can actually port your profit into your next property using something called a 1031 exchange.
There you go. You're speaking my language.
This money. So now you've made a bunch of money and you don't have to pay taxes on it. Now you're deferring, you're deferring, and you need to talk to a CPA and you need to have a good plan, because as you build wealth through real estate, you got to figure out how you're going to pull that money out eventually, without massive tax liability. But 1031 exchanges are great for rolling over properties. And you don't get the benefit of that with a 401k. Even if you do it, what do they call it when you pay the taxes up front? Is that the Roth?
I believe so, yeah.
Roth IRA. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not hugely proficient in that language, but yes, I believe Roth is when you don't pay taxes up front, or you do pay taxes up front and you don't pay taxes when you pull the money out. Either way, I think it's very important for W-2 employees, especially, to think about future tax shelters, because you don't have the ability to write things off like a business owner does. So this creates a tax shelter to grow wealth.
I think for me, you said something. You said, especially for us W-2, we're kind of groomed to do things a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Carl and I have been fighting with, the idea of normal school for our kids. Obviously, she works, I work, we're always working. All of our kids are in public school right now, and I'm very grateful for Midway ISD. Again, abundantly blessed and challenged.
Midway.
Yeah, there are some things about it I love, and there are some things about it I can't stand, and you just can't have one without the other. We've been in private school, we've homeschooled, we've done all the things. But all that being said, I told my kids the other day, you're being groomed for a certain thing. And our family is not okay with just being in that realm. And so, America, wake up. You're being groomed to essentially stay in a place where you don't really make it. We're not taught the rules of this game. We were given Monopoly many, many years ago. And, I think we all thought, well, that sounds great. But that's a fantasy. It's a game. This is a game.
Yeah.
We are in a game. And when you learn the rules and you learn how to play the game and you learn the tricks of the trade, the things that Scottie and I are talking to you about, the ways that Scottie can put you from one property to the next, the rollover of 1031. I have helped people do 1031s. I'm going to tell you, they are all millionaires. They stay away from taxes. They shelter their money. There's no difference from the guy that works at HEB pushing carts than the guy that's a millionaire. The difference is one took the leap and one sat on the sidelines. Breaks my heart when I see older folks working today out. I'm like, you should be picking up your kids from school. You should, or your grandkids. You should be doing this. But they were sold a lie. And so if you're listening, you were told, we're here to help. We're here to help move these things and help you jive, move, and groove. You don't want it. That's fine. We'll make the money. We'll help somebody else. We'll build a legacy for our family. And you'll say, I wish I would have done it. That's one thing I'll never forget. My grandfather this was probably about 4 or 5 years before he passed. And I had asked him, I said, hey, Grandpa, I said, what did you want to do with your life? He was drafted in World War II, went into the Navy. He was a cook, went overseas. was going to stay in, decided to get out, married my grandma, had kids, got her pregnant, all those fun things. He trimmed trees. He was not a landscaper. He was not a gardener. He hated being called those things. I'm not, I'm a tree trimmer, and the man worked until I think his late 70s, and I'd spend my summers hauling logs and trees and cutting and chainsaw and this and that. Those were my summers. And so I just asked him, I think towards the end, I just wanted to hear it from someone that I respected that was already so far ahead in their life. And I remember asking him, I said, Grandpa, if you could go back, what's the one thing that you never did that like you really wanted to do with your life? Mm. And he said, oh, well, I really wanted to be a cowboy. And,
I love that.
Yeah, I wanted to move, I don't know, to New Mexico or Texas. And, I wanted to, just wanted to buy some land. And I wanted to raise, cattle. But, it just happened. And it's okay. It's okay. And I'm like, no wonder I want to move to Texas and be a cowboy. It's in my blood, But
wow,
it broke my heart.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that story. That's so much heritage, bro.
But I go back and I think, well, why didn't you? What stopped you? What made you not make that decision? And I think the worst part is saying, it's one thing to say, I wish I wouldn't have, because I'm gonna tell you, when you make a decision and it's the wrong decision, you still get something from it, right? You get the lesson.
Yeah.
You get the experience. Hey, sometimes it hurts, it's painful, but you learn that the pan is hot and you don't touch the hot pan, right?
I got that happening right now, man. Just to get a little personal, we bought a property in Florida 2 years ago, and it hasn't gone the way we thought it would. And I was telling my wife, recently, like, it felt like we had the magic touch with real estate, or the Midas touch. Everything we touched turned to gold for a while. And then we bought this place, and yeah, we may have not analyzed the deal right. It was probably a little more emotional. We made a good buck on a commercial property we sold, and we're like, we gotta move this money somewhere. We bought this home for our family, fulfilled a dream a little earlier than we thought we could. And now we're just kind of like frustrated by it, and it's a learning experience. No matter what, if I hold it, sell it, whatever, I'm gonna have some pain, some financial pain. But the reality is I'm super thankful for what I've learned. I've learned to do stuff like this. Let me show you one more cool tool that it's caused me to go deep into things like analyzing, right? So look at this. This is an investment analysis. Let's assume $22.53 a month in rent. That's conservative, but and let's consider 1 month of vacancy per year with an annual increase of 3%. You think that's pretty fair?
Yeah.
So, if you look at this chart down here, annual total return on investment, like, you may end up having a couple of years where you're backwards on your cash on cash. Again, this isn't appreciation. This is cash on cash. But if you held this thing for 10 years, you may end up seeing, again, kind of with conservative numbers, a cumulative cash on cash return of over 10%, which is pretty dang great, right? And so if you really kind of look at your profit and loss and your estimated annual cash flow and all this stuff, this is a place where I would put my cash and I would feel good about it, because of what we're looking at here, and the numbers don't lie.
Well, we haven't even gotten into things like, property depreciation that helps with taxes, the tax write-offs that you get from, all these. I mean, you're going to look like you're not making any money on it to the government if you do it right with a qualified CPA, yada, 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 all those different things. But again, taking the leap, learning the lessons, taking it on the chin, it's not going to be all rainbows and unicorns. They don't exist. So stop thinking they do, America. It is not that way. I'm so sick and tired of us being fed rainbow and unicorn dreams. That's not how it works. You get your hands dirty, you get your hands in the dirt, you dig the hole, you put the seed, you cover it back up, you water it, you tend to it, you're beating the crows back with a stick, and you're waiting for God to bring the rain, but you have to get out there and you've got to toil the soil. It's just the way it goes. And so when you look at this, you have to understand, I think so many people, and this includes myself, we want to go out and we want to hunt for the big buck.
Yep.
We don't want to go out and farm and till the land, and unfortunately, when we want to hunt for that big buck, you're really kind of leaving it a little bit up to chance. And I think we're a little bit greedy because we just want to bring home the big game, not understanding that things are methodical, things are well thought out, things are well planned. A farmer doesn't go out and just plant seeds underneath trees. They don't get sun. There's got to be a plan in that. And I hunt, so I'm not talking crap about hunters or any of that stuff. I mean, those things are great, but you can't just rely on the perfect deal to come along. The perfect deal is the one that you make happen.
Yes, and it's the one that makes sense.
Yes,
right?
and not every deal makes sense. I mean, you and I know that, right? Again, there is math, right? And if you do your math and it doesn't make sense, then you pass on it. It's very simple. Hey, this isn't going to make enough. These are the standards that I have. This is what I want to be able to make with everything and all the information that I have. What does this look like, Scottie? There you go. Look at these tools that he's got. Goodness gracious. I mean, I didn't even know you had all that stuff,
Yeah.
But again, like you said, you took a leap on a property, and now because you've learned some things, the analyzation of that.
Well, I talk to a lot of people all day about this stuff, just like you. I mean, how many conversations do we have to make a deal happen in today's world? It's been a lot. That levee is about to break, I think, and people are going to see. They're going to see make sense out of this stuff a little easier, a little faster. Yes. But now we've sharpened our tools. Okay. Now, I had a personal experience. I'm a real estate investor myself. I want to be able to show people like, hey, this is why I think it makes sense, or this is why it doesn't. Don't do it. And then that way, here's the thing. For a real estate agent, you're sending a client to us as a buyer, and I come back to you and I say, Andrew, this deal doesn't make sense for them. And then you say, okay, why? And then I can just show you here. What do you think? And the numbers, again, the numbers don't lie, right? Or we partner together and we're like, wow, this makes so much sense. Like, shoot, if they don't do it, we should do it.
Listen, I think the good part, and I keep saying this over and over, when I send people to you, obviously, there's been a lot of people interested in a certain property. And so I'm just like, give Scottie a call. Give Scottie a call. Call Scottie. And I tell people, listen, he's going to shoot you straight. And that's why I'm sending you to him, because he's going to give you the information. I want to operate and work with people that, have the heart of a teacher, right? I tell people, 100%. You're going to get transparency and you're going to get honesty from me. If you don't like those two, we're probably not a good fit. Sometimes I don't think I'm as rigid with some people as I should be. I had a lady tell me, you're so rigid. Oh my goodness. You don't know how to say things nice. So then after that, I was like, just be quiet. And, I'm kind of breaking those scales off again, because I just, I love people so much. I don't like people that piss me off. They make me angry. Mostly because, man, you got everything right in front of you. You just got to take the step. You got to take the counsel. You guys are getting all kinds of counsel. There's a gentleman I listen to. He says, you better catch these bars. I chuckle every time he says it. But there's so much knowledge that's being dropped here in terms of what it all is. And you're either gonna, take a step, make a call, ask the question, even probably talk crap or comment, or you're just gonna scroll on to the next thing and not do anything about it.
110%, my man. Like that's the it's funny because we're streaming on Facebook and Instagram, but that's the Instagram culture. That's the, oh, that looks cool. And then, on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. I have people who reach out to me a lot about becoming a loan officer or mortgage advisor. I prefer that term, but I talk to people about becoming a realtor, becoming an investor. We have so many of these conversations. The first thing I tell somebody who says, I want to do what you do. Awesome. I will help you. I'll mentor you. I'll make you great, honestly, because I've paid a lot of money for coaching and I've figured this thing out. And I'm really blessed, blessed with great mentors, and God literally walks me through it, honestly. But if you can't go get your license and pay for it out of pocket, you can't do what I do. If you can't save up some money so that you can actually put 90 days to 6 months into this thing and go hard in the paint and figure it out and follow a plan, you're not going to be, it's not going to work. And that's the same thing with whether you're trying to become a homeowner for the first time or trying to invest in multiple properties. You've got to take action. And that's the other thing that I'm coaching loan officers and real estate agents, and really kind of talking people through this element of, let's not measure our success based on closings. Let's measure our success based on activity. Are we having good conversations? Are we giving good advice? Do you have, like what you said, Andrew, part of a teacher and making sure that you're actually moving the ball forward down the field as opposed to measuring based on just your touchdowns. A touchdown does not get scored without a lot of work getting the ball down the field. We know that. So just some thoughts on that. But you got to take action. And I hope that we can impress that upon you today.
Well, and I think I want to say something, 100-yard, 99-yard run plays, out of your own end zone, they're really awesome and they're great, but those don't win games.
No,
it's a methodical approach of an offense to take on a defense, to take chunks out of them, to beat them down play after play where they just can't stop the 5-yard, the 9, the 12, the 3, the 6, the 12, the 21-yard pass. And they're like, man, they just beat us up for 15 plays and they chewed up the clock. Those are what win championships. And so my analogy with that is understand it's small steps. It's a yard here. It's 4 yards. It's a quick pass. It's here. It's there. Methodically marching down the field, in a orderly fashion that just beats up the other side. And the other side really is it's our own self holding us back. And so, but it takes you to sit down, come up with a game plan, and understand what the first play is. The first play may not be a 100-yard, a kickoff return. It's not going to. Those are
every once in a while. It's like I said.
Yeah.
I told you I had the Midas touch.
Yeah,
and here I'm going like, where did I go wrong? Have I been in like some kind of disobedience to God's plan for my life or whatever? And sometimes I just get in a funk and I overthink stuff. The reality is sometimes you just mess things up. Sometimes you just have a bad deal.
I'm going to tell you, the very first day of my trading career, I made $800 in like 2 hours. And I was like, this thing's so easy. Oh my gosh. And then I went into like a 3 or 4 month mental funk.
A little bit of false reality.
I was just, I'm going to tell you, it's the Midas touch. It's the quick wins. It's the 100-yard kickoff return that will need to be humbled because you think you got it. So take those hits on the chin, take that sack, take that loss, and just realize, hey, all right, great. There's this kid this morning. We're dropping him off. He's a friend of ours kid, and they open up the doors for our kids and at the school and all that. I love it. And I said, hey, how's football going? And he says, we keep losing. And I said, that's awesome. And he's like, what? And I said, bro, you don't win anything from winning. You'll learn everything from your losses. The wins are for enjoyment. I loved when Talia would lose at volleyball. She would come off and she'd be pissed and throwing her stuff down. And I'd be like, hey, what happened? Well, I didn't get over to cover and the bump that I had, or I stepped on the line and I've got to do this better and this and that. And I'd be like, okay, so was the loss worth it? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I just, I got to get better. I'm like, okay, great. Next one, right? We'd be at a tournament. And then they'd go and they'd win a game and I'd be like, hey, how was it? What happened? Nothing. We were awesome. It was amazing. Didn't you see us? We won. And I'm like, you didn't see that bad pass that you had? I'm not saying don't enjoy the win.
Yeah.
But don't lose the do better. Like
one of my favorite things in sports, and I love sports, but I really like when a team wins and you've got one of the star players kind of gets gets some press. You know where I'm going with this. They get some press afterwards. And what they say is, yeah, grateful for the win, but here's where I could do better.
Yeah.
And then they tell the world that, because what they're doing is they're setting up accountability for their future performance. Yes. And I think we do that. Like, I was just explaining this to somebody yesterday. We had a mishap. I run a business and things aren't perfect because people involved, and we're always learning. So even though I've been doing this for a long time, I'm always tweaking processes. I'm always making things better. I'm always seeking to do better. And I had something that happened. A ball got dropped. And I had to call somebody and apologize. I've had those conversations, right? And those suck. But the reality is we've got a 1% rule. We're 1%ers. If we can find 1% of personal fault, we point the finger back at us and we own it. That's what we do here at my company. So I make this phone call and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And it was very simple. We missed a kickoff call with a client. And that client was texting, hey, are you still getting, whatever, some calendar issue. I could blame it on a million things, but ultimately I said, hey, I own the company. I'm sorry. Somebody should have reached out to you and didn't, but I'm here for you now. Can we talk? He's like, dude, yes, thank you. We had a great conversation. I told the guy what he needed to do. And throughout that whole process, I said, hey, there's something I learned from a guy named Jack Roush, who built NASCAR engines. And the business coach of mine shared this with me. And when Jack Roush's engines first won a NASCAR race, they asked him, the press asked him, how did you do this? How did you win? He goes, oh, it was actually really simple. We built the engine. We ran the engine, put a brick on the old gas pedal, went to lunch, went about life, came back when the thing was broke. We figured out where it broke and we made it stronger. And we did it again and again and again and again. And so that's like a principle of life that I've adopted. Like I build it, I run it hard, I break it, I seal it up. So hopefully it's better than it was before. Stronger than it was before. So I believe in that, in the topic of real estate, it's all building blocks. It's get better every day. It's learn something every day. If you're doing what you've learned to do with the day trading, right? Like I got a lot of respect for you that you've been willing to actually put money at risk, and learn this whole thing. But that's what we help our clients do. I got one more quick story, and I know we probably need to wrap this up. We've gone a little long. The other day we had a rough day. We lost tens of thousands of dollars in our business. And the reason that happened was one of the loans we funded could not be sold. And when that happens, we have what's called a scratch and dent loan, could even be what's called a buyback. And we get stuck with these loans. That's very costly. We want to avoid that at all costs. Well, I got notified about this and it's not a good situation. It's still in work. And I spent about 30 minutes in the car. It was my daughter's birthday. And I was heading to meet my family. And I was like, I got to be better than I am right now for my family. And I was just praying, asking God, please. And just like saying the name of Jesus over and over, wherever your faith is, Andrew and I believe the same. And I walked into a sub shop to pick up some food. And the girls were like, oh my gosh, you're so happy. Why are you so happy? People don't come in here happy. Nobody comes in here acting like you. And I'm like, I'm happy. Are you kidding me? Oh, okay. And I was just able to share the love of God with them. And I was able to tell them, it's crazy. I actually just found out I lost like 72 grand like an hour ago. And these girls were like, what? Are you a gambler? And I'm like, no, well, kind of. I'm a business owner,
Yeah,
and then I was just able to share my faith and what I believe. And I was able to inspire them by finding joy in the mess. And so, that's kind of a mentality thing. It's a faith thing. But if you got a deal that doesn't work out, find joy in the mess and then move on.
There's a saying in our world. So our bodies are electrical beings and we do give off frequencies. It's why we say, I don't like the vibe that guy gives me. Or, hey, when someone walks in the room, like, I don't know, just lights up. It's actually science. And we are electrical beings. We have different frequencies. Do you know what the highest frequency is for a human state?
I have no idea.
Gratitude.
When
someone is in a state of gratitude, they have the highest frequency. It does not get any higher than that. Do you know what the lowest frequencies are for a human state?
I would imagine anger.
Shame and guilt.
Ooh, even worse. Yeah.
The frequency is so low.
Wow.
And when it's crazy to say that, and it kind of makes me a little bit choked up because I've been there so many times in my life.
Me too.
You can't live inspired when you're in shame and guilt. And so when you live in the loss and you're not grateful for it, you will stay in it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been learning to day trade over the last 9 months, trying to figure out another thing while real estate is, I pour my heart and soul into my clients and into, they may not hear about it. They may not see all of it, but goodness gracious, I have bent over backwards. And, I was like, God, there's got to be something for me to help supplement. And if I was to stick in the loss of every loss I've ever had, I would have been grateful for the lesson that came with it. So thank you, Jesus, today. I'm grateful for every loss.
So good. Because
I've learned so much in it. And so we just go back to, if you're scared to lose, you won't lose. The only thing, I tell Talia, you'll miss every swing you never take. You'll miss every shot you never shoot. That's just how it goes. So if you don't swing, you didn't hit the ball anyway. If you don't shoot it,
that's right.
You didn't even give
Amen to
yourself a chance to make the shot, to get the points. And so,
Amen to that, man. For sure.
Don't sit on the sideline, folks. I'm gonna keep saying that. Stop being bench warmers in your own life. Today's the day. Whatever day you're hearing this, in whatever it is, maybe not even business and buying a home. There's probably something that's scratching at you that you're supposed to take care of. So go do it today.
We love business. We love real estate. We love conversations. So, oh my gosh, if you've been with us this long and you're committed, we need to be talking.
If you've been with us this long, you probably don't have any friends, and that's okay.
We'll be your friends.
We'll take over.
Let's have a conversation. I always believe in giving a call to action, giving a next step. It all starts with conversation. It really does. A DM, a text, a phone call, whatever. Reach out. We want to help people win. Andrew and I do earn our living doing this, and that's fantastic, but we are not in it for money. We know that if we help enough people win, we will win. We're in it for helping people make great decisions with great information. So all that said, great call today, man. I've really enjoyed this, and I always feel better after I've spent time with you.
Agreed.
So, all right, cool deal. Well, we're going to go ahead and end for the day. Thanks for joining us. We're going to keep doing this as often as we can. Hopefully it's helpful. Tell your friends, tell your foes, tell everybody you know.
Yeah.
Scottie and Andrew got your back. Peace.
All right, you guys.